Welcome to the Deep Sleep Science channel. Tonight, we gently explore the quiet world of dreams, those mysterious experiences that unfold behind closed eyes while the body rests. If this kind of calm science helps you relax, you're warmly invited to like, subscribe, or leave a soft comment before you drift away. Dreams are experiences created by the brain during sleep. They can include images, sounds, emotions, sensations, and even full storylines that feel real in the moment. While the body lies still, the mind remains active, weaving together memories, feelings, and imagination into vivid inner worlds. Most dreams occur during REM sleep, when brain activity becomes lively and dynamic, but dreaming can also happen in other sleep stages. In simple terms, dreams are the brain's way of generating conscious experience without input from the outside world, a natural, internal theater that plays quietly through the night. Lucid dreaming is when you become aware that you're dreaming while the dream is still happening. That awareness can feel like a light turning on inside the story, where you realize the scene is being generated by your own mind. Some people describe it as a calm, clear moment of recognition rather than excitement. Even when it's brief, it shows that the sleeping brain can sometimes support a form of self-awareness. In lucid dreams, some people say they can reflect more clearly, make choices, or experiment with what's happening around them. This can look like testing gravity, trying to change the setting, or simply observing details with more intention. The interesting part is that the dream doesn't stop being a dream, it remains imaginative and flexible. What changes is the dreamer's ability to notice, question, and sometimes steer the experience. Researchers can study lucid dreaming in sleep labs by using pre-planned eye movement signals. During REM sleep, the body's muscles are mostly relaxed, but the eyes can still move in coordinated patterns. If a lucid dreamer moves their eyes left-right in a pattern agreed upon earlier, those movements can show up on recordings. This lets scientists link a subjective report eye became lucid to a measurable signal during sleep. Cognitive neuroscience work connects lucid dreaming to differences in activity in parts of the brain linked to attention, self-reflection, and spatial awareness. In typical REM dreams, the mind can be vivid but less self-monitoring, like watching a movie you fully believe. In lucid REM dreaming, certain networks can appear more engaged, supporting a bit more insight. This helps explain why some lucid dreamers feel more mentally present than in ordinary dreams. Some induction methods for lucid dreaming combine prospective memory training with reality checks practiced during the day. Prospective memory is the ability to remember to do something later, like recalling an intention at the right moment. Reality checks are simple, tests like rereading text, or checking a clock because those often behave strangely in dreams. Over time, the habit can carry into dreaming and trigger the realization that you're asleep. Another commonly discussed method is wake back to bed, which involves waking after some sleep and then returning to bed. The idea is that later in the night, REM sleep tends to come more easily and last longer. Returning to sleep during that window can increase the chance of entering REM quickly. For some people, that timing makes lucid dreams more likely. The results vary a lot between individuals. Some research has explored influencing lucidity with external stimulation timed to REM sleep. The basic goal is to deliver a gentle cue-like a sound or light pattern without waking the sleeper. If the cue gets woven into the dream, it may serve as a hint that the person is dreaming. The challenge is finding stimulation that is noticeable enough to register, yet soft enough to avoid waking. One experimental line tested frontal stimulation at specific frequencies during REM and reported higher ratings of lucidity under certain conditions. This kind of work is still carefully debated because results can depend on equipment, participant expectations, and how lucidity is measured. Even so, it highlights how scientists try to connect a private experience to physical signals. It also suggests that dreaming has different modes, and some may be more reflective than others. Reports of lucid dreaming vary widely between individuals. Some people experience it naturally a few times a year, while others have it monthly, weekly, or even more often. Many people never experience it at all, or they may not recognize it when it happens. This widespread suggests that both biology and habits like attention to dream scan influence how likely lucidity is. Dreams can happen even when the eyes are closed and there is no incoming visual information. The brain can generate scenes, faces, motion, and depth entirely from internal activity. That means the vividness of a dream does not require the outside world to be feeding the experience. It's a powerful reminder that perception is something the brain actively constructs, awake or asleep. The brain regions involved in sensory imagery can still be active during dreaming, even though external input is reduced. When you dream of seeing a room, hearing a voice, or feeling movement, your brain is using some of the same systems it uses for those sensations in waking life. The difference is that the source is internal, drawn from memory and imagination. This is one reason dream experiences can feel so convincing while they're happening. Dreams can include music and voices even in complete silence. Your mind can play a song, create dialogue, or form soundscapes without any speaker in the room. This shows that the brain's auditory imagination can be vivid enough to mimic real hearing. Sometimes the sound is clear and structured, and other times it's distorted, like a radio slightly out of tune. Some people report smelling odors in dreams, although this is less common than visual or auditory dream content. Smell is a sense that strongly connects to emotion and memory, and when it appears in dreams, it can feel surprisingly real. Because smell is often subtle and hard to describe, it may be underreported in dream diaries. Even so, its presence shows the dream brain can generate a wide palette of sensory experience. Taste can also appear in dreams, often tied to emotionally important contexts. People may dream of eating familiar foods, tasting something strange, or experiencing a strong flavor that shifts the mood of the dream. Taste is closely linked with smell, so the two can blend together in dream experience. When taste shows up, it highlights how dreams can simulate even intimate bodily sensations. Dream time can feel strangely flexible, where an experience seems long even though the REM episode lasted only minutes. In the dream, you might feel like you traveled, talked for hours, or lived through a sequence of events. When you wake and see the clock, the real time can be much shorter. This difference suggests that subjective time in dreams depends more on narrative and memory than on physical time passing. Some research suggests that for many dream actions, the feeling of time passing can still roughly match real time. For example, a dream conversation or walking sequence may not be wildly faster or slower than it would be while awake, but perception can still bend, especially when the dream jumps between scenes. So dreaming seems to support both realistic timing and dramatic distortion, depending on the moment. People can experience false awakenings, where they dream of waking up and starting their day while still asleep. The dream might include getting out of bed, checking a phone, or walking into another room. Because the setting is familiar, the experience can feel very believable. For many people, the realization that it was a dream only comes after waking again. Hypnagogic imagery can appear while falling asleep, and hypnopompic imagery can appear while waking up. These experiences are often brief and can feel like drifting pictures, sounds, or sensations rather than a full storyline. They sit in the boundary zone where the brain is shifting states. Because they are close to wakefulness, people sometimes remember them more clearly than midnight dreams. People who are blind from birth can still dream, often with less visual imagery and more touch, sound, movement, and spatial feeling. Their dream experience reflects the senses and skills they use in waking life. This helps show that dreaming isn't just visual movies, but a broader simulation that can use many channels. The content of dreams can adapt to a person's sensory history. Many dreams include strong emotions, with anxiety and surprise often appearing in dream diaries. Emotion in dreams can rise quickly and feel intense, even when the situation is unrealistic. This suggests the brain systems involved in emotion can be active and influential during sleep. Emotions also shape what gets remembered, because intense feelings can make a dream more likely to be recalled. The amygdala, a brain region deeply involved in emotional responses, can be active during REM sleep. That activity fits with the common experience of emotionally vivid dreams. It also helps explain why dreams can sometimes produce fear, urgency, or tenderness without any real-world trigger. In sleep, emotion can be generated from within, guided by memory and association. During REM sleep, skeletal muscles are largely inhibited, a state called atonia. This means most of the body becomes very relaxed, even if the dream itself is full of action. Atonia is a protective feature because it reduces the chance of acting out a dream physically. It's one of the reasons dreaming can feel like doing something while the body remains safely still. REM sleep behavior disorder involves a loss of normal REM atonia, which can lead to dream enactment behaviors. When the usual muscle inhibition is reduced, movements can leak through from the dream state into the real body. People may talk, gesture, or move in ways that match what they are dreaming. Because it can create risk of injury, it's taken seriously in sleep medicine. Sleep paralysis is a temporary inability to move during transitions between sleep and wakefulness. It can happen when REM-like muscle inhibition lingers even as awareness returns. Some people also experience vivid imagery or a strong sense that someone is nearby. Even though it can feel frightening, it is usually brief and reflects a mismatch between brain state and muscle control. Sleep deprivation can change dream intensity and recall, sometimes increasing vivid dream rebound when sleep resumes. When you finally get recovery sleep, REM patterns can shift, and dreams may feel stronger or more frequent. One reason is that sleep loss can lead to more pressure for REM sleep. The result is often a night where dreaming feels more noticeable, simply because the brain is catching up. When REM sleep is reduced for multiple nights, REM rebound can occur when normal sleep returns. REM rebound means the brain spends more time in REM or enters REM more readily than usual. This rebound is one reason people sometimes report unusually vivid dreaming after periods of disrupted sleep. It shows that REM sleep is regulated and valued by the body's sleep system. Sleep architecture cycles between non-REM stages and REM sleep, repeating several times across a normal night. You can imagine it like waves that change depth and character, moving from lighter to deeper sleep and then into REM. Each cycle has its own pattern and purpose, supporting restoration, memory processing, and emotional regulation. This repeating structure gives the night a quiet rhythm, even if you don't notice it. A typical night includes multiple REM periods, and those REM periods often get longer later in the night. Early REM episodes may be shorter, while later ones can stretch out more. This is one reason dreams near morning can feel especially vivid or detailed. It's not that dreaming is only near morning, but the longer REM windows can make it more likely to remember. Dreams are most commonly reported after awakenings from REM sleep, but they can also be reported after awakenings from non-REM sleep. In other words, dreaming is not limited to one stage, even if REM dreams often feel more cinematic. Non-REM dreams can exist too, sometimes as thoughts, impressions, or quieter scenes. The key factor is often whether you wake at the right moment to recall what was happening. Vivid, story-like dreams are often linked with REM sleep, while non-REM dream reports can be more thought-like, fragmented, or conceptual. In REM, the brain can generate rich imagery and emotion that feels like a narrative. In non-REM, the mind may focus more on problem-like thinking or brief scenes. Both are part of the broader spectrum of sleep mentation. REM sleep shows a distinct EEG profile compared with deep non-REM sleep, which helps clinicians identify REM during polysomnography. EEG tracks patterns of brain electrical activity, and those patterns change as sleep stages shift. This makes REM a measurable state, not just a subjective experience. Having objective markers is essential for studying dreams in a reliable way. The discovery of REM sleep in the early 1950s gave researchers a repeatable marker that made dreaming research much easier. Before that, dreams were harder to link to physiology. With REM identified, scientists could wake people at specific times and compare reports across stages. This turned dreaming into something that could be studied with careful timing rather than guesswork. REM sleep is named for bursts of rapid eye movements that can be measured with an electrooculagram, or EOG. EOG records tiny electrical changes created by eye movement. In REM, those movements happen in clusters, making the stage stand out clearly on sleep recordings. This is one reason REM is one of the easiest stages to recognize in lab data. Breathing and heart rate variability often increase during REM sleep compared with many non-REM periods. The body can become more irregular in its rhythms, even though the sleeper remains unconscious. This variability reflects changes in autonomic regulation during REM. It's one more way REM differs from the steadier patterns often seen in deeper non-REM sleep. Dream recall is often more likely when someone wakes during or right after a REM period than when waking from deeper non-REM sleep. Memory for dreams fades quickly, so timing matters. If you wake while the dream is still fresh, the brain has less time to let it dissolve. This is why a sudden awakening can leave a vivid dream snapshot, while a slow morning can leave only a vague feeling. Dream content often includes familiar places and people, but it mixes them in unusual or impossible ways. Your mind may combine a childhood home with a current workplace, or merge two acquaintances into one character. This mixing reflects how memory fragments can be recombined during sleep. It's like the brain is building scenes from stored pieces rather than replaying life exactly. People often accept improbable dream events as normal while dreaming, reflecting reduced reality monitoring. While asleep, the brain's ability to question, "Does this make sense?" is often lowered. That's why you can calmly accept a floating staircase or a sudden location switch. Only after waking does the logic-checking system fully come back online. The ability to form a coherent dream narrative can shift across the night as sleep stages change. Some dreams feel like clear stories with beginnings and endings, while others are more like drifting fragments. This difference can reflect both the stage of sleep and how often the sleeper briefly awakens. The brain's storytelling can sharpen or soften depending on its level of activation and stability. Dreams can occur during short naps, especially if a nap is long enough to reach REM sleep. Some naps stay in lighter non-REM stages and produce fewer vivid dream reports. But if REM appears, dreams may become more cinematic and easier to recall. This is why a longer nap can sometimes lead to a surprisingly detailed dream experience. Nightmares are distressing dreams that often cause awakening and can affect next-day mood and sleep quality. Because the awakening happens at a peak of emotion, the memory can stick strongly. That lingering distress can make it harder to relax the next night. Nightmares are common at times, but when frequent, they can become a meaningful sleep health issue. Nightmare disorder refers to frequent nightmares that cause significant distress or impairment. It's not just having a bad dream occasionally. The key features are repetition, strong emotional impact, and problems in daily functioning or sleep. Recognizing it as a clinical pattern can help guide people toward effective support and treatments. Sleep terrors are different from nightmares and usually arise from deep non-REM sleep. They can involve intense autonomic arousal like rapid heartbeat and sweating, and the person may appear awake but is often confused. Memory for the episode is usually limited or absent. The experience is dramatic from the outside, yet the person often has little narrative dream recall afterward. Sleepwalking also tends to arise from non-REM sleep and may happen with little or no dream recall. The person can sit up, walk, or perform simple behaviors while still in a sleep state. Because awareness is reduced, the behavior is often clumsy or automatic. Even though it can look purposeful, it usually reflects partial arousal rather than a fully conscious state. Parasomnias are unusual behaviors or experiences that occur during sleep or during transitions between sleep and wakefulness. They include things like sleepwalking, sleep terrors, nightmares, and REM sleep behavior disorder. What they share is that the boundary between sleep and wake processes becomes less tidy. Understanding parasomnias helps explain why sleep can sometimes produce complex actions and sensations. Parasomnias are often categorized by whether they occur during REM sleep or non-REM sleep. This classification matters because REM and non-REM have different brain patterns and different muscle control. REM parasomnias often involve dreamlike mentation and REM physiology, while non-REM parasomnias often involve partial arousals from deep sleep. Sorting them this way helps clinicians understand causes and choose appropriate evaluations. Clinicians often diagnose parasomnias using careful clinical history and, when needed, sleep studies. A detailed description of timing, behaviors, and triggers can provide strong clues about the sleep stage involved. Sleep lab recordings can capture brain activity, eye movements, and muscle tone to confirm patterns. This is especially important when behaviors could lead to injury, so safety and clarity come first. Dream content often reflects recent concerns, a pattern sometimes called day residue. Experiences, conversations, worries, or even small details from earlier in the day can quietly reappear in dreams. They may not show up exactly as they happened, but fragments like a place, a face, or a feeling can be woven into a new storyline. This suggests that the sleeping brain continues to process fresh memories, blending them into the night's mental landscape. Another well-known pattern is the incorporation of experiences from several days earlier, sometimes described as a dream lag effect. Instead of appearing the very next night, certain events may surface in dreams after a short delay. Researchers think this could reflect how memories are gradually reorganized during sleep over multiple nights. The delay shows that dreaming is not only about immediate impressions, but also about deeper integration of past experiences. Many people experience recurring dreams where themes or scenarios repeat across weeks, months, or even years. These recurring dreams often revolve around familiar situations, such as being chased, losing something important, or returning to a specific location. The repetition may reflect ongoing concerns, personality traits, or unresolved emotions. Over time, the recurring dream can subtly change as life circumstances shift. Children commonly report nightmares, and the content often changes as they grow older. Younger children may dream of monsters or imaginary creatures, reflecting early developmental fears. As children mature, nightmares can shift toward more realistic social or performance-based anxieties. This gradual change mirrors how cognitive development and life experiences reshape emotional concerns. Narcolepsy can include REM-related phenomena such as vivid dreams and sleep paralysis. In this condition, features of REM sleep can intrude into wakefulness or occur unusually quickly after falling asleep. This blending of states helps researchers understand how tightly REM sleep is normally regulated. It also highlights how delicate the balance is between different stages of consciousness. Dream recall can be trained, and one of the most effective methods is keeping a dream diary. Writing down even small fragments each morning strengthens the habit of noticing and remembering dreams. Over time, people often report more detailed and frequent recall. This suggests that memory for dreams depends not only on sleep, but also on attention and practice. Waking up slowly and staying still for a moment can help improve dream recall. When you remain calm and avoid sudden movement or bright light, you reduce interference from new waking thoughts. The fragile memory of the dream has a better chance of staying intact long enough to be recorded. Even a few quiet seconds can make a difference in how much you remember. Strong emotional dreams are often more memorable than neutral ones. Emotion acts like a spotlight in the brain, marking certain experiences as important. When a dream includes intense fear, joy, embarrassment, or surprise, it is more likely to leave a clear imprint. This is similar to how emotional events in waking life tend to be remembered more vividly. Alcohol can reduce REM sleep during the first part of the night and lead to more fragmented sleep later. Because REM is often linked with vivid dreaming, this early suppression can change the pattern of dreams. Later in the night, when REM rebounds, dreams may become more intense or easier to recall. The overall effect is often a night of less stable and less restorative sleep. Some antidepressants alter REM sleep architecture, sometimes reducing total REM time or changing when it occurs. Because REM is associated with certain types of dreaming, these medications can affect dream vividness or frequency. Some people report fewer dreams, while others notice changes in emotional tone. These effects vary depending on the specific medication and individual response. Nicotine, as a stimulant, can affect sleep continuity and increase awakenings. More awakenings can mean more opportunities to remember dreams, because recall depends heavily on timing. However, fragmented sleep can also reduce overall sleep quality. This shows how substances can influence dreaming indirectly by changing sleep structure. Caffeine late in the day can make it harder to fall asleep and can increase nighttime awakenings. Even if total sleep time seems adequate, sleep depth and continuity may be reduced. Because dream recall is linked to awakenings, caffeine can indirectly shape how often dreams are remembered. Its effects depend on dose, timing, and personal sensitivity. Fever can intensify dreams for some people. When body temperature rises and sleep becomes more fragmented, dreams may feel unusually vivid or strange. The altered physiology and lighter sleep stages can increase the likelihood of recall. Many people describe fever dreams as particularly immersive or emotionally charged. Stress often increases the frequency of disturbing dreams and nightmares. When the mind is preoccupied with unresolved tension, those concerns can reappear in symbolic or direct form during sleep. Elevated stress can also fragment sleep, increasing awakenings and strengthening memory for negative dreams. This connection highlights how closely sleep and emotional life are linked. Post-traumatic stress can involve recurrent nightmares, with themes related to the traumatic event. These dreams can replay elements of the experience or represent it symbolically. Because they are often vivid and emotionally intense, they can disrupt sleep and daily functioning. Understanding this pattern has led to specific therapeutic approaches to reduce their frequency and severity. Imagery rehearsal therapy asks people to rewrite and mentally rehearse a modified version of a recurring nightmare while awake. By practicing a new ending or storyline, the emotional intensity of the dream can gradually decrease. This technique does not require interpreting the dream's meaning. Instead, it focuses on reshaping the mental script in a controlled, supportive way. In many people, dreams include social interactions, reflecting how central relationships are in waking life. Conversations, conflicts, reunions, and shared activities often appear. The brain dedicates many resources to understanding others, and that social focus continues during sleep. Dreams may simulate social scenarios in ways that feel surprisingly realistic. The threat simulation perspective suggests that some dreams may rehearse danger detection and avoidance. In this view, being chased or facing obstacles in dreams could represent practice in responding to threats. While this theory remains debated, it highlights the possibility that dreaming may serve adaptive functions. Even so, not all dreams involve danger, and many are neutral or positive. Dreams often show weakened logical reasoning compared with waking thought. Sudden scene changes, impossible physics, or contradictions can occur without question. This reduced reality monitoring helps explain why bizarre events feel normal in the moment. It reflects differences in how executive brain regions function during sleep. Many dreams involve navigation, such as walking through buildings, traveling down streets, or moving across landscapes. Even when the layouts are unrealistic, the sense of movement can feel smooth and continuous. Spatial memory systems may contribute to constructing these internal maps. The result is a mental simulation of movement without physical action. Dreams can include pain, but many people report experiencing less pain than they would expect in waking life. When pain appears, it may be less sharp or less disruptive. This could relate to changes in sensory processing and emotional context during REM sleep. The experience varies widely between individuals and situations. Many people dream in color, though some report mostly black and white dreams. Differences in memory, cultural exposure, and attention may influence how dreams are described. There is no single, universal pattern. Dream color perception reflects both brain activity and how the memory is reconstructed after waking. Dream perspective can shift between first-person and third-person views. You might experience events through your own eyes, then suddenly observe yourself from outside. This flexibility shows that the dreaming mind can rearrange the sense of self within a scene. It demonstrates how fluid identity and perspective can be during sleep. Emotional regulation theories suggest that dreaming may help process emotional experiences by reactivating them in altered contexts. In this view, sleep allows the brain to revisit feelings without the same level of external stress. Over time, this could reduce emotional intensity associated with certain memories. While not fully settled, this idea connects dreaming with emotional balance. Dream themes often cluster around common categories, such as being chased, falling, or being unprepared. These themes appear across cultures, although their frequency can vary. Their persistence suggests shared human concerns about safety, competence, and social standing. At the same time, personal meaning can differ widely. Cross-cultural research shows both similarities and differences in dream content around the world. Some themes are widespread, likely reflecting shared biology. Others reflect local customs, values, and environments. This combination of universal and cultural elements highlights how dreaming is shaped by both nature and experience. Ancient civilizations developed structured systems for interpreting dreams, including dream manuals and symbolic mappings. These traditions treated dreams as messages or omens. Modern science approaches dreams differently, focusing on brain activity and psychological processes. The contrast illustrates how interpretations of dreaming have evolved over time. Modern scientific approaches treat dreams primarily as experiences generated by the sleeping brain. Researchers use physiological recordings and structured interviews to study them. Instead of focusing on symbolic meanings alone, science examines patterns, stages, and neural correlates. This approach aims to connect subjective reports with measurable brain states. Polysomnography records EEG, EOG, and EMG to classify sleep stages. EEG tracks brain waves, EOG tracks eye movements, and EMG measures muscle tone. Together, these signals allow researchers to identify REM sleep and other stages. This technology forms the foundation of laboratory sleep research. In REM sleep, chin muscle tone measured by EMG typically drops significantly. This drop reflects the state of atonia that keeps the body relaxed. It is one of the defining physiological features of REM. Observing this change helps confirm that a sleeper has entered REM. REM density refers to how frequent bursts of rapid eye movements are within a REM period. Some REM periods show more eye activity than others. Variations in REM density may relate to dream intensity or brain activation patterns. However, the relationship is still being explored. People differ in how much REM sleep they get, and REM proportion can change with age. Infants spend a larger percentage of sleep in REM-like states, reflecting rapid brain development. As people grow older, the distribution of sleep stages gradually shifts. These changes influence how dreaming patterns evolve across the lifespan. As people age, slow-wave sleep often declines, which can alter the balance between deep non-REM and REM stages. Older adults may experience lighter sleep overall. This can change when REM occurs and how often dreams are recalled. Age-related shifts show that sleep architecture is dynamic throughout life. Older adults often experience earlier sleep timing, which can shift REM-RIT periods to earlier hours. Because longer REM episodes tend to occur later in the sleep cycle, timing changes can affect dream recall patterns. This is one reason morning awakenings may feel different at different life stages. Dreams can reflect learning from the day, especially when a task is new or emotionally engaging. Practicing a skill can influence dream content that night. This suggests that memory processing continues after lights out. Dreaming may represent one visible sign of deeper consolidation processes. Research on memory shows that reactivation of memory traces can occur during sleep. In animals, patterns of neural activity related to learning tasks can replay while asleep. This replay supports the idea that sleep strengthens certain memories. Even if you do not recall a dream, underlying neural processing may still be happening. Some replay events occur faster than the original waking experience, compressing time at the neural level. The brain can revisit a long sequence in a much shorter burst of activity. This time, compression suggests that sleep processing is efficient and structured. It also shows that dream time and neural time do not always match waking experience. Dreaming and memory consolidation are related but not identical. People can show improved memory after sleep, even if they do not remember any dreams. This indicates that conscious dream recall is not required for memory benefits. Dream reports may simply provide a window into some of the processes occurring beneath awareness. Some dreams recombine memory fragments in new ways, creating novel associations. Rather than replaying events exactly, the brain may blend elements into fresh combinations. This recombination can produce creative or unusual dream scenarios. It reflects the flexible nature of memory networks during sleep. The brain's default mode network, which supports internally focused thought, may overlap with dreamlike cognition. This network is active during mind-wandering while awake. During dreaming, similar internal processing can occur without external input. The connection suggests continuity between waking imagination and dream experience. REM sleep involves changes in neuromodulators, such as acetylcholine and monoamines. These chemical shifts influence how memory, emotion, and imagery are processed. The altered balance can promote vivid imagery while reducing certain types of logical control. This neurochemical environment shapes the distinctive quality of REM dreams. Prefrontal regulation of emotion may be altered during REM, changing how fear and evaluation are experienced. With less executive oversight, emotions can flow more freely. This can make dreams feel intense or exaggerated. At the same time, it may allow emotional memories to be revisited in a different light. The scientific study of dreaming continues to evolve with advances in technology. Higher density EEG and improved analysis tools provide more detailed maps of brain activity. Large dream databases allow researchers to examine patterns across populations. Even with these tools, dreaming remains a complex and fascinating subject of study. Dream reports can change a lot depending on how and when someone is asked about them. If you wake a person and ask immediately, the memory is still warm and detailed, so the report tends to be richer. If you wait until later in the morning, the brain has already filled the mind with new thoughts, and many dream details fade. This is why sleep labs often use timed awakenings. It reduces the chance that the dream will dissolve before it can be described. When people remember dreams, they often unknowingly patch the memory with extra details, a process called confabulation. The dream may have been fragmented, but the waking mind prefers a smoother story, so it adds likely connections and transitions. This is not lying on purpose. It's the brain doing what it always does, building a coherent narrative from incomplete pieces. Because of this, dream reports are best understood as remembered experiences, not perfect recordings. The brain's language system can produce dialogue in dreams that feels fluent and natural. You may hear full sentences, recognize a voice, and even respond with words that make sense in the moment. At other times, dream speech becomes strange phrases that sound meaningful but don't hold up when you wake. This shows that the dreaming brain can generate language patterns, even while logic and self-monitoring are reduced. Bilingual people can dream in more than one language, and the language that appears can depend on context. If someone has been using one language heavily during the day, that language may be more likely to show up at night. Dreams can also switch languages mid-scene, especially when characters or settings shift. This reflects how the brain stores languages in overlapping networks that can be activated by memory and emotion. People who lose vision later in life may continue to have visual dreams, but the imagery can change over time. Visual memories from earlier life can remain available and be used to construct dream scenes. As years pass without visual input, some people report that visual detail becomes less common, while other senses become more prominent. This suggests that dream imagery is shaped by both stored memory and ongoing sensory experience. External sounds can sometimes slip into dreams before you wake, a phenomenon called sensory incorporation. An alarm, a phone vibration, or distant speech might become part of the dream. Story like a siren in a city scene or a voice inside a room. The sleeping brain is not completely shut off from the environment. It monitors the world at a low level. If the sound is not strong enough to wake you immediately, the dream can explain it by weaving it into the narrative. Physical sensations from the body can also influence dream content. For example, a full bladder can create dreams about searching for a bathroom or being unable to find privacy. The dream may not mention the body directly, but it can transform the sensation into a storyline. This is a simple example of how internal signals can shape dream themes. The sleeping brain interprets bodily cues using the same creative machinery it uses for memory and imagination. Sleeping posture and breathing comfort can affect tiny awakenings throughout the night. If a position causes mild discomfort, airflow resistance, or muscle strain, the sleeper may briefly rise toward wakefulness. Those micro-awakenings make it more likely that dream fragments get captured in memory. So posture can influence not only comfort, but also how many dream moments are remembered. Dream recall often increases when sleep is lighter and more interrupted. Obstructive sleep apnea can fragment sleep and increase awakenings, often leading to more remembered dream fragments. With apnea, breathing pauses can trigger brief arousals that pull the brain closer to wakefulness. Each arousal creates a chance to remember whatever was being dreamed at that moment. However, this does not necessarily mean more restful dreaming. It often reflects disrupted sleep. Treating the breathing problem can improve sleep stability and change recall patterns. Some medications suppress REM sleep, which can reduce how often dreams are remembered or change their vividness. When the medication is stopped, REM can rebound and dreams may become more intense for a period. This rebound happens because REM is regulated and the brain tends to catch up after suppression. The result can be unusually vivid dreaming, sometimes including emotionally strong or strange dream content. Individual experiences vary depending on the medication and the person. Melatonin can shift sleep timing for some people, and that timing shift can influence dreaming indirectly. If sleep becomes earlier or more regular, the pattern of REM periods across the night can change. Some people notice changes in dream vividness simply because they wake more often during REM-RI's portions of sleep. Others notice little difference. This variability suggests that the strongest effects of melatonin are usually on timing and sleep onset, with dreaming changes being secondary. Light exposure in the evening can delay circadian timing and push REM-rich sleep later. Because longer REM episodes often happen later in the night, delaying sleep can also shift when those longer dream periods occur. If someone has to wake early despite the delay, they may miss part of that REM-right window. This can reduce dream recall or change the feeling of the night's dreaming. Morning routine, bedtime light, and schedule all quietly shape the timing of dreams. Early morning awakenings often occur near longer REM periods, which is one reason late-night dreams can be easier to remember. When REM periods are longer, there is more time for a complex dream narrative to develop. If you wake during that window, the dream is fresh and sometimes quite detailed. This is also why snoozing an alarm can sometimes lead to a quick return to vivid dreaming. The brain can re-enter REM more easily late in the night. People with irregular schedules can experience REM episodes at unusual circadian phases. When sleep timing shifts day to day, the internal clock and sleep stages can become less aligned. That misalignment can increase fragmentation or change how quickly REM appears. The result may be unpredictable dream recallsome nights with vivid dreams, and others with very little memory. Regular timing tends to stabilize sleep architecture and, for many people, stabilizes dream recall too. Night shift work can increase sleep fragmentation and alter REM distribution. Sleeping during the day often comes with more noise, light, and interruptions. and the circadian system is not naturally optimized for daytime sleep. REM may occur differently, and awakenings may be more frequent. This can increase remembered dream fragments, but it may also increase fatigue. Shift work shows how dreaming is influenced by both physiology and environment. Jet lag can temporarily change REM timing and dream recall as circadian rhythms resynchronize. When you travel across time zones, the body clock is out of step with local night and day. Sleep can become lighter or more broken, and REM may occur at odd times relative to the new schedule. This can create nights where dreams feel unusually vivid or oddly structured. As the clock adjusts, dream timing often returns toward a more familiar pattern. Microsleeps are very brief episodes of sleep that can happen when sleep pressure is high, especially during monotonous situations. They can include tiny, dreamlike images or sensations, but they are short and unstable. Because the brain is slipping into sleep for seconds, the experience may feel like a flicker rather than a story. Microsleeps are a reminder that dreamlike mentation can begin quickly under strong sleep drive. They also show why sleep deprivation can produce unusual mental experiences. Daytime napping can reduce REM pressure at night for some people. If a nap includes REM, it can use up some of the REM need, changing how REM appears later. This might shorten later night REM periods or shift their timing. The effect depends on nap length, timing, and individual sleep biology. In some cases, naps make nighttime sleep smoother. In others, they make it harder to fall asleep, which indirectly changes dreaming. Skipping naps can increase sleep pressure and sometimes change how quickly REM appears when you finally sleep. With high sleep pressure, the brain may dive into deeper non-REM stages quickly. Later, REM can still occur, but its timing may shift as the body recovers. Some people notice stronger dream recall after periods of missed sleep because awakenings are more frequent or REM rebounds. Again, the key driver is often sleep stability rather than dream production itself. Dream incubation is the practice of intentionally priming the mind with a topic before sleep to increase the chance it appears in dreams. This might involve thinking about a question, visualizing a place, or gently repeating an intention. The goal is not to force a dream, but to nudge memory networks towards certain material. Sometimes the topic appears directly, and other times it shows up as a symbolic cousin. This reflects how dreams draw from activated associations. Some creativity research links sleep and dreaming with insight, but results depend on the type of problem and the study design. Sleep can help the brain reorganize information and make new connections, which may support creative solutions. Dreaming can sometimes reveal unusual combinations that the waking mind would not choose. However, not every dream is helpful, and not every creative leap requires dreaming. The broader point is that sleep supports flexible thinking, and dreaming can be one visible expression of that flexibility. Dreams can present metaphor-like representations of concerns, but interpretation should be cautious. The brain often uses symbolic shortcuts, turning a feeling into an image because dreams are built from association and emotion. A dream might say something through a scenario rather than through literal logic. Still, the same theme can mean different things for different people. Dream symbolism is not a universal code, and personal context matters. The same dream theme can carry different meanings depending on the person's life. A dream about being late might reflect anxiety for one person, excitement for another, or simply a recent schedule change for someone else. The brain uses familiar situations as containers for emotion and memory fragments. That is why dream content can look similar across people but feel very different internally. Personal history changes the emotional weight of the same storyline. Most dreams are not prophetic in a scientific sense. When people feel a dream came true, it is often explained by coincidence, selective memory, and the brain's tendency to notice matches more than misses. Humans remember the rare moment a dream resembles later events, and they forget the many dreams that do not. This pattern can make predictions feel common even when they are statistically expected. Recognizing this helps keep dreams in the category of internal experience rather than external forecasting. Déjà vu in dreams can occur when a dream feels strangely familiar, as if it has happened before. This may reflect the brain's familiarity signals being activated without a clear source. In waking life, déjà vu is often linked to memory processes that tag something as known. In dreams, those tagging systems can be more easily confused because the setting itself is built from mixed fragments. The feeling of familiarity can be strong even if the exact dream has never occurred. Sleep onset dreams, sometimes called hypnagogic dreams, can be more fragmented and image-based than midnight REM dreams. They often arrive as quick scenes, faces, patterns, or sounds with less coherent plot. This is because the brain is transitioning and not yet settled into a stable sleep stage. Many people notice these as drifting images rather than full stories. They can fade quickly or transform into deeper dreaming if sleep continues. Exploding head syndrome is a benign parasomnia where a person senses a sudden loud noise during sleep-wake transitions. The sound is not real in the environment, but it feels vivid, like a bang, crash, or shout. It can be startling, yet it is generally considered harmless. The experience highlights how the brain can generate intense sensory events at the boundary of sleep. It can be confused with dreaming because it occurs in that transitional space. Sleep talking can occur in both REM and non-REM sleep, and it may or may not match dream content. Sometimes the speech is clear and seems related to an ongoing dream. Other times it is mumbled, repetitive, or disconnected, like fragments of language without context. Because the sleeper is not fully conscious, the words may not follow waking logic. Sleep talking shows that speech-like motor patterns can activate during sleep without full wakefulness. Many nightmares end with awakening at a peak of distress, which strengthens memory for the dream. When you wake with a racing heart or a rush of fear, the dream becomes tied to strong emotion. Emotion helps consolidate memory, which is why the nightmare can remain vivid the next day. This is one reason nightmares feel more sticky than neutral dreams. The abrupt end also prevents the dream from drifting into a calmer resolution. Some people experience lucid nightmares, where they know they are dreaming but still feel fear or struggle to change what is happening. Awareness alone does not guarantee control. Fear can keep the dream intense, and attempts to force control can sometimes backfire. In these moments, the dream can feel like watching a frightening scene, while knowing it isn't real. This shows how emotion can dominate even when insight is present. Dream control and dream lucidity are related but not identical. You can realize you are dreaming, yet have little ability to change the scene. You can also shape parts of a dream without clearly thinking, "This is a dream," especially if the dream naturally follows your expectations. Control depends on attention, emotional calm, and the dream's stability. Lucidity is mainly about awareness, not power. Lucid dreaming may be more common in people who frequently reflect on their own mental states, sometimes called metacognitive tendency. Metacognition is the ability to think about your thinking, like noticing, "I'm anxious," or "I'm distracted." People who practice this during the day may be more likely to notice inconsistencies in dreams. That noticing can trigger lucidity. It suggests that waking habits can influence the mental style of dreaming. Dream recall is often higher in people with lighter sleep or more frequent awakenings, but this can come with poorer sleep quality. Every awakening is a chance to capture dream content before it fades. However, frequent awakenings also reduce continuity, which can lead to fatigue. So, higher dream recall does not always mean better sleep. It often means the brain is surfacing toward wakefulness more often. Some studies have linked higher dream recall with personality factors like openness to experience. Openness is associated with curiosity, imagination, and attention to inner experience. People high in openness may naturally pay more attention to dream memories and rehearse them more. That rehearsal strengthens recall. These are statistical tendencies, not rules, but they show how personality can shape what we remember from sleep. People with frequent nightmares may also report higher overall dream recall. One reason is that nightmares often trigger awakenings, which preserve memory. Another reason is that strong negative emotion makes the dream harder to forget. Over time, the person may also become more attentive to sleep experiences, further increasing recall. So, nightmare frequency and dream recall can reinforce each other through both physiology and attention. Sleep stage transitions are common points for brief awakenings, and these moments are fertile for capturing dream content. When the brain shifts from one stage to another, stability can wobble, and a micro-awakening may occur. If a dream was happening, the transition can snapshot it into memory. This is why some people remember several small dream pieces rather than one long story. The night's shifting stages create natural windows for recall. Many dreams contain spatial distortions, such as rooms connecting impossibly, or buildings with shifting layouts. Spatial memory is flexible, and dreams often build environments from blended pieces rather than accurate maps. A hallway might lead to a childhood kitchen and then into a modern office without surprise. This reflects the brain's ability to stitch spaces together based on association, not architecture. The dream environment is more like a mental collage than a blueprint. Flying dreams are common, and lucid dreamers sometimes use flying as a test of control. The sensation can feel smooth and effortless, like gliding, or chaotic and unstable. Flying reflects how dreams can generate vestibular and motion sensations without real movement. Because gravity rules can be loosened in dreams, flying becomes one of the most striking examples of dream physics. It also shows how expectation can shape what feels possible while asleep. Falling dreams can occur during sleep onset and may be linked to hypnic jerks, which are sudden muscle contractions when drifting into sleep. The body may twitch, and the mind can interpret that sensation as falling. This pairing shows how a physical event can produce a vivid internal narrative. Hypnic jerks are common and generally normal. They are one more reminder that dreaming and body signals can interact, especially at transitions. Some dream reports include teeth falling out, often connected with stress and bodily concerns. Teeth are tied to speaking, appearance, and vulnerability, so they carry strong emotional meaning. In dreams, this theme can express anxiety about control, social judgment, or physical well-being. The exact trigger varies by person and time. The fact that it appears across many people suggests shared human concerns rather than a single fixed meaning. Dreams can contain strong autobiographical elements, but still depart dramatically from real events. You might dream about a real friend, but place them in a completely invented situation. This shows that dreams often use real people as emotional anchors, while the plot is built from imagination. Autobiographical memory provides the cast and setting fragments, not necessarily the script. The dream's purpose is not accuracy, it is experience. A single dream can combine multiple times and places, reflecting associative memory rather than linear storytelling. You may move from childhood to adulthood within seconds, or blend two cities into one. The brain connects things by meaning and emotion, not by timeline. In waking life, we keep time organized in dreams. That organization loosens. The result is a fluid, collage-like timeline. The brain can generate faces in dreams, even when the dreamer does not recognize them. These faces may be composites made from stored features, expressions, hairstyles blended into a new person. The brain is highly skilled at face processing and can assemble a believable face without copying a specific individual. This helps explain why dreams feel populated with real people, even when you cannot name them. It is memory used as raw material for construction. People often dream about social evaluation being unprepared, being watched, or failing a task. Social life depends on reputation and belonging, so the brain treats social risk as important. Dreams can simulate these pressures, sometimes exaggerating them into dramatic scenarios. Even when the dream is unrealistic, the feelings can be very real. This reflects how strongly social emotions are wired into human cognition. Dreams can contain humor and absurdity, showing that dreaming is not only about fear or stress. The brain can create ridiculous situations, strange punchlines, and playful transformations. Humor in dreams can arise from the same loosened logic that creates bizarre scenes. When you wake, you may realize the joke makes little sense, yet it felt funny in the moment. This shows how emotion and interpretation shift during sleep. Many dreams include goal pursuit, where you are trying to achieve something but the obstacles keep changing. You may try to reach a destination, find an object, or complete a task, but the environment shifts like a moving puzzle. This reflects how dreams can simulate motivation without stable planning. The goal provides structure, but the dream's logic remains flexible. It creates a sense of momentum, even if progress is strange. Dream narratives often include sudden scene cuts, like film editing, where you jump to a new place without explanation. The mind accepts the cut because continuity checking is reduced. These jumps can happen instantly, with the new scene feeling normal right away. This is one reason dream stories can feel fast-moving and layered. The dream brain is more interested in emotional and thematic connection than in smooth transitions. Some dreams are dominated by one sensory modality, such as sound or touch, especially when visual imagery is dim. A dream may focus on a voice, a vibration, or a physical sensation with little clear visual scene. This variation shows that dreams are not always visual movies. The brain can build an experience around whichever sensory systems are most activated. It also reflects individual differences in imagination and memory. Dream content can reflect bodily homeostasis, meaning the brain may respond to hunger, thirst, temperature, or discomfort by shaping dream imagery. A thirsty person might dream of searching for water. Someone overheated might dream of being in a hot environment. These are the brain's creative interpretations of internal signals. Dreams can be understood partly as the mind's way of giving meaning to the body's quiet messages. Sleeping in a room that is too hot or too cold can increase awakenings for some people. Those awakenings make dream recall more likely, because the dream is captured near the moment it occurred. But increased awakenings also fragment sleep and can reduce restfulness. Temperature comfort is one of the simplest environmental factors that shapes sleep continuity. Through continuity, it shapes the pattern of what dreams are remembered. Sleep fragmentation tends to increase the number of remembered dream segments rather than one long dream. Each time the brain surfaces toward wakefulness, a small piece of mentation can be saved. Over the night, these pieces can feel like many separate dreams. This does not necessarily mean more dreaming. Overall, it often means more opportunities to remember. It's a memory effect shaped by interruptions. Some people rarely recall dreams, but that usually reflects recall rather than a lack of dreaming. When such people are awakened during REM sleep-in studies, they often report dream content. This suggests most brains produce mentation during sleep, even if the memory doesn't carry into morning. Dream recall depends on timing, attention, and sometimes sleep fragmentation. In other words, forgetting dreams is common and normal. Dream recall can drop when someone immediately checks a phone or turns on bright lights after waking. New information floods the brain and competes with the fragile dream memory. The dream trace can disappear quickly under the pressure of new thoughts and sensory input. If someone wants to remember dreams, staying still and keeping the environment dim can help. This highlights how delicate dream memory is compared with waking memories. People often underestimate how fast dream memory fades without rehearsal. Even vivid dreams can lose detail within minutes. This is partly because the sleeping brain encodes memories differently, and partly because waking attention shifts quickly to the day. Writing a few words right away can preserve more than trying to reconstruct later. The speed of fading is one reason dream research relies on immediate reports. Frequent awakening-based lucid dreaming techniques can reduce sleep quality if overused. Waking yourself repeatedly to catch REM periods can increase sleep fragmentation, which affects mood and attention the next day. Some people tolerate it well, but others feel drained. The trade-off is important. Increasing dream awareness can sometimes come at the cost of rest. Healthy sleep is still the foundation for stable dreaming. Some people experience sleep state misperception, feeling awake for long stretches even when objective measures show they were asleep. This can change how they perceive dreaming, because they may believe they never slept or never dreamed. In reality, they may have had typical sleep stages with typical mentation. The mismatch is about perception, not necessarily about the brain's sleep activity. It shows why subjective experience and objective recordings can tell different stories. Dreaming is not limited to humans. Many mammals show REM sleep, which is linked to brain states that resemble the dreaming condition. When researchers observe REM in animals, they see patterns like rapid eye movements and changes in muscle tone that mirror human REM physiology. While we cannot directly know what an animal experiences subjectively, the presence of REM suggests that internal mental activity during sleep may be widespread in nature. This broad distribution of REM across mammals hints that REM has deep biological roots, not just a human cultural fascination. Animal studies of REM sleep show patterns consistent with internal processing, even though the animal's private experience cannot be measured directly. Researchers can record brain activity, observe behavior, and study how sleep affects learning and memory in these animals. The evidence supports the idea that sleep is an active brain state, not an off switch. In that sense, dreaming may be one visible expression of a larger set of nighttime brain functions. The key point is that animals offer a window into sleep biology, even if dream content itself remains inaccessible. Rat hippocampal neurons can replay sequences related to waking exploration during sleep. The hippocampus helps store and organize spatial and episodic-like memories, so replay suggests the brain is revisiting information from the day. In experiments, patterns of neuron firing during sleep can resemble patterns recorded when the rat moved through a maze. This replay is like the brain running a quiet internal rehearsal. It shows that sleep can contain structured, meaningful neural activity linked to learning. Sleep replay has also been discussed in the context of learning motor sequences and navigation in animal models. After animals practice a movement pattern or learn a route, sleep can contain reactivation of related neural circuits. This reactivation may help stabilize the new learning, making it easier to retrieve later. The idea is not that the animal is consciously studying, but that the brain is reorganizing and strengthening useful patterns. Dreaming, in humans, might sometimes be the felt experience of similar behind-the-scenes processing. Some replay events occur faster than the original waking experience, compressing time in the brain's activity. A journey that took minutes while awake can be replayed in seconds during sleep. This time compression suggests that the brain can review complex information efficiently. It also helps explain why dreams can feel like long journeys even though the real time is short, or why a dream can jump across many events quickly. In sleep, timing is governed by brain dynamics more than by the clock. The existence of REM sleep across many species suggests REM serves important biological functions beyond subjective dream experience. If REM were only for dream storytelling, it would be harder to explain why it appears so broadly in mammals and in other groups. Scientists therefore look for functions such as memory processing, brain development, and emotional regulation. Dreaming may be a companion phenomenon, something that happens when the brain enters this special mode. The physiology points to REM as a fundamental part of sleep biology. Some birds show REM-like sleep features, indicating that dream-associated sleep physiology is not exclusive to mammals. Birds can display sleep states with rapid eye movements and changes in brain activity that resemble REM. This is striking because birds and mammals are evolutionarily distant compared to mammals alone. It suggests that complex sleep states may have evolved more than once or reflect shared ancient mechanisms. Either way, it supports the idea that sleep has rich internal structure across many animals. Deep, non-REM sleep is strongly linked to restorative processes and metabolic regulation, even though vivid dreaming is less commonly reported then. During deep non-REM, the body can show slower heart rate, steadier breathing, and distinctive slow brain waves. This stage is associated with physical recovery, immune function, and general restoration. Even if dream recall is lower, the brain is still active in important ways. This reminds us that sleep has multiple layers of benefit, not all of which feel like dreaming. REM sleep may contribute to emotional memory processing in some models, though the exact mechanisms remain debated. One idea is that REM allows emotional memories to be revisited in a new context, sometimes reducing their intensity over time. Another idea is that REM helps the brain connect emotions with broader memory networks, supporting learning from experience. Evidence exists for links between REM and emotion, but scientists continue to test how strong and consistent those links are. The uncertainty shows that dreaming science is active and evolving, not settled. Some theories propose that REM helps integrate new information into existing networks, supporting flexible generalization. Integration means that new learning does not sit isolated, but becomes connected to what you already know. This connection can help you recognize patterns, apply knowledge in new situations, and make better predictions. Sleep provides time for the brain to reorganize without constant incoming demands. Dreaming may sometimes reflect that integration process by blending old and new elements into novel scenes. Other theories propose that REM helps weaken overly strong emotional associations, reducing the charge of certain memories. In this view, the brain revisits emotional material in a way that gradually softens the reaction. The memory remains, but it becomes less triggering. This could help explain why emotional experiences sometimes feel less sharp after a few nights of sleep. It is still a theory, but it matches the idea that sleep supports emotional resilience. Dream bizarreness can be measured by counting impossible elements, sudden shifts, and violations of physical laws. Researchers can code dream reports for how often they include contradictions like a person changing identity, a room becoming a different building, or gravity behaving strangely. This makes dream research more systematic, rather than relying only on personal impressions. It also helps compare dreams across individuals and across sleep stages. Bizarreness becomes a measurable feature of dream cognition. People vary in tolerance for dream bizarreness. Some wake up disturbed by strange dream logic, while others feel neutral, amused, or even curious. This difference may relate to personality, anxiety levels, or how the person interprets dreams. For some, bizarreness signals loss of control. For others, it feels like harmless imagination. The same dream feature can therefore produce very different emotional outcomes. This variability is one reason dream experiences are so personal. Nightmares can be triggered by certain medications, especially those that influence neurotransmitters involved in REM regulation. Because REM is linked to vivid emotional dreaming, changing REM chemistry can change dream tone. Some people notice an increase in vivid dreams or nightmares after starting or changing a medication. Others notice little change. This highlights the role of brain chemistry in shaping dream experience. Withdrawal from substances that suppress REM can increase vivid dreams and nightmares for a period. If REM has been reduced, the brain may rebound by producing more REM when suppression stops. More REM can mean more vivid dreaming, and the emotional tone may be stronger than usual. This can be temporary and may settle as sleep architecture stabilizes. It illustrates how the sleep system compensates when one stage has been pushed down for a while. Some people experience REM rebound nightmares after stopping heavy alcohol use. Alcohol can suppress REM early in the night, and when that suppression ends, REM can return strongly. During rebound, dreams may feel intense and emotionally charged. Because alcohol also affects sleep stability, the rebound period can include more awakenings, which increases recall. This is one reason people sometimes report vivid, unsettling dreams during early recovery. Sleep hygiene like regular timing, a dark room, and limiting late stimulants can reduce awakenings and change dream recall patterns. When sleep becomes smoother, you may recall fewer dream fragments simply because you wake less often at the right moments. At the same time, longer, uninterrupted REM periods later in the night can still produce vivid dreams if you wake near the end. Good sleep hygiene supports stability, and stability shapes how dreams are remembered. It is a quiet lever that changes the whole night. Dream content can become more vivid when sleep is longer and more continuous, because longer REM periods often occur later in the night. With enough sleep opportunity, the later REM episodes have time to expand. This can produce dreams that feel more detailed and story-like. People who regularly cut sleep short may miss some of these longer REM windows. So total sleep time can influence the richness of dreaming simply through timing. Some people experience anxiety dreams that are not full nightmares, but still leave a lingering, uneasy feeling. The dream may involve being behind, being judged, or being unable to complete something important. These dreams can reflect stress even when they do not reach the intensity of a nightmare. Because the emotion is milder, the person may not wake fully, but the mood can carry into morning. It shows how dreams can mirror emotional tone without dramatic fear. Dream emotions can persist after waking, sometimes called dream carryover. You might wake feeling sad, relieved, tense, or happy without immediately knowing why. When you remember the dream, the emotion often makes more sense. Even if you do not remember, the emotional residue can still influence your morning. This demonstrates that dreams are not sealed off from waking life, they can affect your mental state afterward. Dream themes can influence waking judgments, such as how you feel about a person who appeared in a dream. Even when you logically know the dream was fictional, the emotional impression can linger. The brain treats social and emotional experiences as meaningful, whether they happen in waking life or in a dream. This can subtly shape mood and behavior. Noticing this effect can help people avoid over-interpreting dream-based feelings as facts. Recognizing dream content as internally generated can reduce the chance of acting on dream-based beliefs. Dreams can feel intense and meaningful, but they are constructed from memory, emotion, and association. When you remember that the dream is an internal simulation, it becomes easier to treat it as information about your mind rather than about external reality. This perspective supports emotional balance and clear decision-making. It's a simple mental step that keeps dreams in their proper place. People can dream about skills they are learning, like playing an instrument, which may reflect memory reactivation. The dream may include practicing, performing, or thinking about the skill in a symbolic way. This shows that the brain continues to engage with learning-related networks during sleep. Whether or not the dream itself improves skill, it often appears during times of intense practice. It's a sign that the topic is active in memory. Some studies link sleep to performance improvements even without additional practice. After learning something new, a night of sleep can strengthen recall or refine motor patterns. This suggests that the brain uses sleep time for consolidation, stabilizing, and optimizing what was learned. Dreaming may sometimes accompany this process, but the improvement does not depend on remembering dreams. The benefit can happen quietly beneath awareness. Dreaming about a task does not guarantee improved skill, but it can accompany learning periods. A dream can reflect attention and emotional investment rather than direct practice effects. Some dreams may be random combinations, while others resemble rehearsals. The key point is that dreaming is not a simple training simulator. It is more like the mind's broader processing environment, where learning-related material can appear as one ingredient. The brain's motor system can show patterns during REM that resemble movement planning, even though the muscles are inhibited. This means the brain can run movement programs while the body stays still. It helps explain why dreams can feel active and physical: running, climbing, dancing without real movement. REM atonia acts like a safety lock that keeps the body from following the brain's internal simulation. This separation allows rich internal experiences without constant motor output. In REM, sleep behavior disorder, that protective inhibition is reduced, so dream-related motor impulses can translate into movement. A person may speak, punch, or kick in ways that match dream content. This can be risky, especially if the dream is defensive or violent in tone. Because of the connection to safety, people are often evaluated carefully when RBD is suspected. It is a clear example of how dream physiology and real behavior can overlap when normal boundaries weaken. RBD dream enactment can include talking, shouting, punching, or kicking, sometimes linked to unpleasant dreams. The behaviors can be sudden, and bed partners often notice them first. The actions may reflect the dream's emotional intensity, such as escaping or fighting. Not every movement matches the dream perfectly, but the link is often strong enough to be clinically meaningful. This condition demonstrates how the brain's motor and dream systems interact. Safety measures for RBD may include removing sharp objects, padding the environment, and protecting bed partners. The goal is to reduce injury risk during episodes. Clinicians may also review medications, sleep habits, and underlying neurological factors. Managing RBD is often a combination of safety planning and medical evaluation. The emphasis is practical. Keep the sleeping space safe while addressing the sleep disorder itself. Some parasomnia research reports higher parasomnia rates in certain psychiatric conditions. This does not mean psychiatric conditions cause parasomnias in a simple way, but it shows overlap. Stress, medication effects, sleep fragmentation, and heightened arousal can all increase parasomnia likelihood. The relationship is complex and varies by person. Understanding this overlap helps clinicians consider both sleep health and mental health together. Anxiety and depression are often associated with altered sleep architecture, which can indirectly shape dreaming. Changes in REM timing, increased awakenings, and lighter sleep can all affect recall and dream tone. Some people with mood symptoms report more disturbing dreams. Others report reduced dream recall. Treatment that improves sleep continuity can sometimes improve dream experiences as well. Sleep and mood form a two-way relationship. Sleep quality improvements can reduce nightmare frequency for some people, even without direct nightmare-focused therapy. When sleep becomes more stable and less fragmented, there may be fewer sudden awakenings that lock nightmares into memory. Improved sleep can also lower baseline stress, which can reduce disturbing dream content. This shows that sometimes the simplest path better overall sleep helps indirectly. It's not a guaranteed cure, but it can be an important foundation. Treating underlying sleep disorders like sleep apnea can reduce nightmares in some cases by improving sleep stability. Apnea fragments sleep and can create repeated arousals, which can increase distressing dream recall. When breathing improves and sleep becomes smoother, the mind may experience fewer abrupt fear peaks and fewer remembered fragments. Better oxygenation and steadier sleep also support overall mental well-being. This is one example of how physical sleep health can affect dream experience. In nightmare disorder, behavioral therapies like imagery rehearsal are often preferred because they are skill-based and non-pharmacological. Practicing a rewritten dream storyline can reduce distress and frequency over time. The approach focuses on changing the brain's expectations and emotional associations. It treats nightmares as a pattern that can be reshaped, not as an unchangeable fate. This practical orientation has made it a widely used method. For trauma-related nightmares, certain medications have been studied. The treatment depends on individual needs and medical guidance. Medication choice considers factors like other symptoms, side effects, and overall sleep health. Many people benefit from combining approaches, such as therapy plus sleep stabilization. The guiding idea is to reduce distress while improving overall sleep quality. Dream content is addressed as part of a broader recovery plan. Some people practice mindfulness or meditation and report changes in dream awareness, but the effects vary widely. Mindfulness trains attention and noticing, so some practitioners become more aware of subtle mental events, including dream fragments. Others simply sleep more calmly and remember fewer dreams because they wake less. In research, it is difficult to separate the effect of mindfulness itself from the effect of improved stress levels and sleep quality. What is consistent is that waking habits can shape how much attention a person gives to inner experience. Lucid dreaming practice can increase metacognitive habits, meaning the tendency to notice what your mind is doing. When you practice reality checks or self-reflection during the day, you may become quicker at spotting odd details at night. That can create more moments of lucidity, or at least more moments of questioning inside a dream. Some people also report that this carries into waking life as improved self-awareness. The key idea is that mental skills practiced while awake can sometimes echo into sleep. Frequent lucid dreaming can correlate with sleep fragmentation in some people, suggesting a trade-off for certain practitioners. Some techniques rely on waking up briefly to re-enter REM with awareness, which can interrupt sleep continuity. Even if the person enjoys lucid dreams, the repeated awakenings can leave them less rested. This does not happen to everyone, but it is common enough to be worth noting. Lucidity can be fascinating, yet stable sleep remains the foundation of health. In some people, attempting lucid induction every night can increase awakenings and reduce how refreshed they feel. The more you work at lucidity, the more you may disturb the natural flow of sleep stages. This can lead to lighter sleep, more tossing, and more attention to internal experiences. For some, that is acceptable. For others, it becomes tiring. The gentle balance is to prioritize good sleep first and treat lucidity as an occasional bonus. Dreams can include vestibular sensations like floating, spinning, or sudden drops, showing that the brain can create balance and motion feelings internally. The vestibular system normally helps you sense movement and orientation, but in dreams, the brain can simulate these sensations without actual motion. That's why flying dreams can feel physically convincing. These sensations can be smooth and pleasant or intense and disorienting, depending on the dream's tone. They reveal how multisensory dreaming can be. Sleep onset can include brief vestibular illusions that sometimes pair with hypnic jerks and falling sensations. As the brain transitions into sleep, muscle tone shifts and small body signals can be interpreted dramatically. A tiny twitch can be translated into a sensation of slipping off a ledge. This is common and usually harmless, but it can feel vivid. It shows how the brain tries to explain sensations, even in the moments before full sleep. Dream characters can represent the self in multiple ways, including appearing as someone else or observing yourself from outside. Sometimes you are you, moving through the dream world normally. Sometimes you are a different person with different traits, yet you still feel like the center of experience. Sometimes you watch yourself like a character in a film. This flexibility suggests that the dream self is a constructed viewpoint, not a fixed identity. The sense of agency in dreams can fluctuate, where sometimes you feel in control and sometimes events simply happen to you. In one dream, you might choose actions confidently, and in another, you may feel carried along by the plot. This reflects changes in attention and executive control during sleep. It can also be influenced by emotion, fear, and urgency can reduce perceived control. Agency in dreams is not constant. It rises and falls within the same night. Many dreams involve simple goals like finding something, escaping, or arriving somewhere, which provides a basic structure for the dream. Goals create momentum and direction, even when logic is loose. The dream might not have a clear reason for the goal, but the feeling of, "I need to do this," can be strong. This resembles how the brain organizes behavior while awake, using goals to drive attention. In dreams, the goal remains, even if the world around it shifts unpredictably. People often dream about communication difficulties, such as phones that don't work or speech that becomes impossible. These themes may reflect the way dreams handle complex cognitive tasks like precise language, sequencing, and working memory. In dreams, you might try to dial a number but the buttons change, or try to speak but no sound comes out. These moments can be frustrating, yet they are common. They highlight how certain high-control skills are weaker in the dreaming state. Dream settings often contain doors, corridors, vehicles, and transitions, which may be because these structures naturally support movement in a story. Doors and hallways are built-in scene changers, letting the dream shift locations quickly. Vehicles create a feeling of journey without requiring detailed navigation. These elements also appear often in waking life, so they are easy building blocks for memory. In dreams, they become flexible tools for moving the narrative forward. Dreams can include animals, and the emotional tone toward them can range from comforting to threatening. An animal in a dream might represent companionship, fear, awe, or curiosity, depending on the context. Because animals carry strong emotional meanings in human life, they can easily become powerful dream symbols. Sometimes the animal behaves realistically, and sometimes it speaks or acts in human-like ways. This shows how dreams can blend natural knowledge with imaginative transformation. Nightmares in children often involve monsters or animals, while adult nightmares more often involve social threats, accidents, or interpersonal conflict. As people age, their fears and concerns shift from imagined creatures to more realistic scenarios. Adults commonly worry about safety, reputation, relationships, and responsibility, so those themes show up at night. This change is not absolute, but the trend reflects development. Dream content often tracks what feels most emotionally relevant at each life stage. Dream intensity can change with hormonal cycles and life stages, though patterns vary strongly between individuals. Hormones influence sleep quality, stress sensitivity, and emotional processing, which can all shape dreaming indirectly. Some people notice more vivid dreams at certain times, while others notice no change. Because sleep can become more fragmented during hormonal shifts, recall may increase simply because of more awakenings. The relationship is real for many, but not uniform for all. Some people report more vivid dreams during pregnancy, often linked to sleep fragmentation, hormonal changes, and emotional salience. Pregnancy can bring frequent awakenings, discomfort, and heightened emotional focus, all of which make dream recall more likely. Dreams may also incorporate new concerns about the body, the future, and relationships. The dreams can be intense, strange, or deeply personal. This is one example of how major life changes can reshape the dreaming landscape. Chronic pain conditions can disrupt sleep and affect dreaming through awakenings and altered REM continuity. Pain can prevent deep, stable sleep, leading to lighter stages and more transitions. Those transitions can increase remembered dream fragments, sometimes with more negative tone because discomfort is present. Pain can also appear directly in dream content or indirectly as stress-themed scenarios. Improving pain management and sleep stability often changes dream experiences too. Dream content can incorporate body-related themes when the body is uncomfortable, such as tight breathing, heat, or pressure. The sleeping brain tries to interpret internal signals using imagery and story. A feeling of pressure might become a dream of being trapped, or heat might become a dream of being in a crowded room. This doesn't mean the dream is predicting anything, it means it is translating sensation into experience. Dreams often function like a storyteller trying to explain vague body messages. People can dream while partially aware of their surroundings, such as hearing a conversation and weaving it into the dream. This can happen when sleep is light or when the brain is close to waking. The external sound becomes part of the dream plot, sometimes in a very creative way. This shows that the sleeping brain still samples the environment, even if attention is turned inward. It also explains why a dream can suddenly feature a line of dialogue that matches real speech in the room. This partial awareness reminds us that sleep is not a total shutdown. It is a dynamic state with varying responsiveness. Some moments are deep and disconnected, while others are lighter and more permeable. The brain moves through these states naturally across the night. Dreaming can occur across this range, sometimes deep inside sleep, and sometimes near the edge of waking. The boundaries are softer than many people assume. Dream research benefits from combining subjective reports with objective physiology, because either alone can mislead. A person's memory of a dream may be incomplete, yet the sleep recording can show exactly which stage they were in. Conversely, A recording can show REM sleep, but it cannot reveal the dream's content without a report. Together, physiology and experience give a fuller picture. This combination is the core of modern sleep science. REM sleep is not the only state linked to vivid mentation. Certain non-REM periods can also produce elaborate dream reports. When people are awakened from some non-REM stages, they can describe complex imagery and emotions. These reports may differ in style from REM dreams, but they can still be rich. This challenges the old idea that dreaming equals REM. Instead, dreaming is broader and can arise across multiple sleep stages. Some non-REM dreams are more conceptual, involving planning, thinking, or problem-like scenarios. Rather than a vivid movie, the experience may feel like internal conversation or quiet reasoning. This resembles certain forms of waking mind-wandering more than cinematic dreaming. It suggests that the sleeping mind can produce different textures of thought depending on stage and arousal level. Dreaming is a spectrum, not a single type. Dreaming is sometimes viewed as an extreme form of mind-wandering, with reduced sensory input and reduced executive control. While awake, mind-wandering happens alongside external perception. During sleep, external input is minimized, so the internal stream becomes the main show. With less executive oversight, associations can flow freely and logic can loosen. This framing helps connect dreams to everyday mental processes, just pushed to a more intense setting. Eye movements in REM may relate to scanning imagined scenes, though the relationship is still debated. One idea is that the eyes track what the dreamer sees, like looking around a dream room. Another idea is that the movements reflect internal brain rhythms rather than visual scanning. Because dream visuals are private, it is difficult to prove a direct one-to-one link. Still, the possibility is fascinating because it connects a measurable signal eye movement to internal imagery. People who wake from REM often report visually rich dreams, consistent with engagement of visual association systems. Even though the eyes are closed, the brain regions that support visual imagination can help build detailed scenes. That is why dream landscapes can include depth, lighting, faces, and motion. The richness does not come from the outside world, but from stored patterns and creative construction. REM sleep provides a brain state that supports this vivid internal imagery. The sleeping brain can generate faces, landscapes, and motion without any external stimulus, underscoring how perception is constructed. In waking life, the brain interprets incoming signals in dreams. It generates the signals internally. Yet the result can feel similarly real while it's happening. This reveals that realism is not only about accuracy, it's about the brain's ability to create coherent experience. Dreaming is like a demonstration of the brain's simulation power. Dreams demonstrate that conscious experience can occur without deliberate attention to the external world. You can be fully immersed in the scene and feel emotions deeply, even though your senses are mostly disconnected from the room around you. This challenges the idea that consciousness is only a response to the environment. Instead, consciousness can also arise from internal dynamics memory, emotion, and imagination. Dreams are a clear example of that inward form of awareness. The boundary between dreaming and waking imagination partly depends on input and control. In waking imagination, you know you are imagining, and you can usually stop or redirect the thought. In dreams, control is reduced, and the experience feels like it is happening to you. External sensory input is also lowered, so the dream becomes the dominant reality. This difference helps explain why dreams can feel so absorbing compared with daydreams. Some people experience dream confusion, briefly mixing dream content with waking reality after waking abruptly. For a few moments, the dream storyline can feel like it is still true. This is more likely when someone wakes suddenly from vivid sleep, especially from REM. As full alertness returns, the confusion fades and reality reasserts itself. This shows that switching brain states is not always instant. There can be a short blending period. Keeping lighting low and avoiding immediate complex tasks after waking can reduce dream confusion and preserve recall if someone wants to remember dreams. Bright light and rapid activity push the brain quickly into full waking mode. That helps with alertness, but it can erase dream memory and end the transitional blending. A calm, gentle wake-up preserves more of the dream trace. This is why dream journaling works best when done immediately and quietly. Dream research sometimes uses serial awakening protocols, waking people multiple times in a night to sample mentation across stages. This method helps scientists compare what people report in REM versus non-REM. It also reveals that dreaming is not a rare event. Mental activity can be present in many stages. The downside is that it disrupts sleep, which is why these studies are carefully controlled. Still, it provides valuable data about how mentation changes across the night. These serial awakenings show that mentation is widespread across sleep, not exclusive to REM. Even in stages traditionally considered dreamlike, people can report thoughts, images, or emotions. The style and clarity can vary, but the presence of mentation is common. This broad view has reshaped modern theories of dreaming. Dreams are not a single switch that flips on only in REM. They are part of the mind's ongoing activity during sleep. Sleep stage scoring rules help standardize how labs identify REM, non-REM stages, and transitions. Without shared rules, one lab's REM could differ from another's, making research comparisons unreliable. Standard scoring uses patterns in EEG, EOG, and EMG to categorize stages. This consistency is important because dream research depends on linking reports to stages. Standardization makes dream science more precise and comparable. Dream frequency estimates vary depending on whether researchers use daily diaries, retrospective questionnaires, or lab awakenings. Diaries capture day-to-day recall, but they depend on consistent effort. Questionnaires rely on memory over weeks or months, which can introduce bias. Lab awakenings capture immediate reports, but disturb sleep and may change the dreaming process. Because methods differ, how often people dream can have different answers depending on how you measure it. Laboratory awakenings often produce higher dream report rates than home recall, because the report is immediate. At home, you might wake and forget within minutes, especially if you roll over or think about the day. In the lab, researchers wake you and ask right away, before the memory fades. This captures more dream content, including fragments you would normally lose. It shows that dream recall is often a measurement problem, not a dreaming problem. Dream reports can be influenced by expectations. If someone believes dreams matter and pays attention to them, they may rehearse and remember more. If someone believes dreams are meaningless, they may ignore them and forget quickly. This difference can change reported dream frequency even if the underlying dreaming is similar. Expectation shapes attention, and attention shapes memory. Cultural beliefs about dreams can influence how dreams are remembered and emotionally evaluated. In some cultures, dreams are discussed openly and treated as meaningful experiences, which increases rehearsal and recall. In other cultures, dreams may be treated as private or unimportant, reducing attention and memory. Culture also shapes which dream themes feel significant or frightening. This means dreams are both biological and social experiences. People who value dreams may rehearse them after waking, strengthening memory for the dream narrative. Rehearsal can be as simple as replaying the dream in your mind or telling someone about it. Each retelling stabilizes the memory, making it clearer and more detailed. This is similar to how waking memories become stronger when revisited. Dream recall is often less about the dream itself and more about what happens in the minutes after waking. People who dismiss dreams may let recall fade quickly, leading to fewer remembered dreams even if dreaming frequency is similar. If you wake and immediately focus on tasks, the dream trace is not reinforced. Over time, the brain learns that dream memories are not needed, and you may become less skilled at capturing them. This does not mean you stop dreaming. It means the bridge between sleep experience and waking memory is used less often. Some people experience recurring settings across dreams, like a familiar dream house or an imagined city that returns again and again. These settings can feel as real as places in waking life, even if they don't exist. They may be composites of multiple locations, stabilized through repetition. Over time, the brain can treat them like a personal map used for different dream stories. Recurring settings show how the dream world can develop its own geography. Dreams can be influenced by media exposure, such as movies, games, and stories that provide imagery and plot patterns. If you watch an intense film or play a vivid game, the brain may reuse elements, characters, environments, music, or emotional tone. This is not always a direct replay. It can be blended with personal memories. Media gives the brain extra raw material for building dreams. It demonstrates how easily the dream system borrows from recent visual and emotional input. Dream content often reflects the brain's preference for story-like causal structures, even when logic is inconsistent. The mind likes to connect events into because chains. This happened, so then that happened. In dreams, those chains can be thin or strange, but the feeling of a story remains. This narrative drive makes dreams feel like experiences rather than random images. It also explains why we often remember dreams as plots, even when the original dream was fragmentary. The feeling of meaning in dreams can arise because the brain is excellent at pattern detection and emotional tagging. When a dream contains strong emotion, the brain naturally treats it as important. After waking, we search for connections and explanations, which can create a sense of significance. Sometimes there is a clear link to life concerns. Other times the meaning is simply the brain reacting to vivid content. Understanding this helps keep dream meaning grounded in psychology rather than mystery. Clinical attention to nightmares focuses on distress and impairment rather than symbolic interpretation. In healthcare settings, the main questions are: how often do nightmares happen? How intense are they? Do they disrupt sleep? And do they affect daily life? Treatment aims to reduce suffering and improve sleep stability. Symbolic meaning may be personally interesting, but the clinical priority is well-being and function. This practical focus guides evidence-based therapy approaches. First-night effect in sleep labs can change sleep architecture and dream reporting, which is why researchers often use an adaptation night. Many people sleep differently in a new environment. They may be more alert, sleep lighter, or awaken more often. This can affect REM timing and dream recall. If a study only used the first night, results might reflect novelty rather than typical sleep. Adaptation nights help capture a more accurate picture of a person's normal dreaming patterns. People sometimes wake in unfamiliar places and notice stronger dreams or more nightmare-like experiences, partly because sleep is lighter and more interrupted. New sounds, different light patterns, and the simple feeling of being somewhere unfamiliar can keep the brain a bit more alert. That extra alertness can create more brief awakenings, and awakenings make dream recall more likely. The dream content itself may also borrow from the unfamiliar environment, blending the new room into the dream story. It's not that travel creates nightmares, but that unfamiliar sleep can change both dreaming and remembering. Some people rarely remember dreams, yet studies show they often report dream content when awakened during REM in a lab. This helps separate dreaming from remembering. Most brains seem to produce mental experiences during sleep, but many of those experiences never get stored as stable memories. Without a timely awakening, the dream trace fades quickly. So I don't dream often means I don't recall dreams, not that dreaming is absent. The brain's memory for dreams is fragile, partly because sleep encodes new memories differently than wakefulness. During sleep, the brain's chemistry and network dynamics are not optimized for storing detailed episodic memories in the same way as daytime learning. Dreams can feel vivid in the moment, but they may not be written down with the same strength. When you wake, the brain rapidly shifts state, and that shift can erase details. This is why dream journaling depends so much on capturing content immediately. The hippocampus and related networks that support episodic memory operate differently across sleep stages. In waking life, the hippocampus helps bind details where you were, who was there, and what happened in sequence. During sleep, those networks can focus more on reorganizing and replaying than on recording brand new episodes like a dream story. That difference can make dream experiences harder to store as clean memories. It also explains why dreams often feel like they dissolve unless you catch them right away. Some dreams rely more on semantic memory general knowledge and concepts than on episodic memory of specific events. A dream might involve facts, ideas, or familiar themes without replaying a real-life episode. You might dream about the concept of an exam rather than a particular exam day. This shows that dreaming can draw from both what happened and what you know. The mind can build a dream from knowledge structures as easily as from personal history. Dream characters can be strangers, but their traits may resemble familiar people, suggesting feature recombination. The brain can mix a familiar voice with an unfamiliar face, or combine the mannerisms of one person with the clothing of another. This helps create believable characters without copying a single real individual. It's similar to how imagination works while awake, but often more fluid in sleep. The result is a dream population that feels real, even when it cannot be matched to memory. Dream environments can be composites of multiple real places, reflecting how spatial memory can blend. A dream street might have the layout of one neighborhood and the buildings of another. A room might feel like your home but include elements from a hotel or an office. This blending suggests the brain stores space as flexible networks of features and relationships rather than fixed photographs. In dreams, those networks can be assembled into new maps with ease. Dream sharing depends heavily on memory and narrative skill, which is why two people can have equally vivid dreams yet describe them very differently. One person may capture precise details, while another gives only the emotional gist. The act of telling also changes the memory, because you organize fragments into a story. What gets emphasized characters, feelings, or events can depend on personality and language ability. Dream reports are therefore a blend of the original experience and the retelling process. Dream reports often become more coherent during retelling because waking cognition prefers structure. The brain naturally fills gaps, adds transitions, and smooths contradictions so the dream makes sense. This is similar to how we tell stories about real life, that dreams have more gaps to fill. Over time, the remembered version can drift from what was originally experienced. That's why immediate notes can preserve raw detail that later storytelling might reshape. Some dreams contain memory errors, like confusing people, places, or timelines, which resembles waking false memory but in a stronger form. You might be sure a friend said something, only to wake and realize it never happened. In dreams, these errors can stack quickly because logical monitoring is reduced. The dream mind accepts substitutions. One person becomes another. One city becomes another without resistance. These errors show how memory and identity are flexible in the dreaming brain. Emotional salience can pull unrelated memory fragments into the same dream, creating a strong sense of meaning even without a direct cause. If a feeling is intense fear, longing, or excitement, the brain may gather many loosely related images around that emotion. The emotion acts like a magnet. This can make the dream feel like it is about something, because the emotion provides a central theme. In many cases, the emotion is the organizing principle, more than a single life event. Some researchers study continuity, meaning how closely dream themes align with waking concerns and personality. Many dreams reflect the dreamer's daily life relationships, responsibilities, goals, and worries, though often in altered forms. Continuity can be strong during stressful periods or major changes. At the same time, dreams can also break continuity, mixing in distant memories or bizarre elements. Studying continuity helps link dreams to waking psychology in a measurable way. People going through major life transitions often report changes in dream themes and intensity. A move, a new job, relationship changes, or personal loss can all shift what the brain processes at night. Dreams may become more frequent, more emotional, or more repetitive. This doesn't mean dreams are predicting the future. It means the mind is adjusting to new reality. Dream changes can be a side effect of increased emotional processing and altered sleep patterns. Creative workers sometimes use dreams as prompts, but this reflects personal practice rather than a universal property of dreaming. Some people wake with a strong image or idea and then build on it while awake. Other people dream vividly yet never use dream material creatively. The key point is that dreams can generate unusual combinations, and some individuals choose to develop them. Dream creativity is therefore a mix of dream content and waking follow-through. Stories about famous scientific ideas emerging from dreams exist, but anecdotes do not prove cause and effect. Humans love memorable origin stories, and they often highlight rare, dramatic examples. In reality, most scientific and creative work comes from long effort, revision, and testing. Dreams may sometimes contribute an image or suggestion, but they are one part of a bigger process. It's helpful to keep dream inspiration in perspective interesting, but not magical proof. Dreams can feel meaningful partly because the brain is designed to seek patterns and assign emotional importance. When a dream is vivid, the brain treats it as an event worth explaining. After waking, we naturally search for connections. Why did I dream that? Sometimes there is a clear link, such as stress or a recent experience. Other times, the meaning is simply the brain responding to a powerful internal simulation. This pattern seeking is normal human cognition at work. The scientific study of dreaming is still evolving as tools improve, including high-density EEG and better methods for analyzing sleep signals. More sensors and smarter analysis can reveal finer details of how brain activity shifts during dreaming. Researchers can compare patterns across many participants and across many nights. Even with better tools, dreaming remains complex because it involves both measurable physiology and private subjective experience. Progress often comes from combining careful measurement with careful reporting. Dream databases and large-scale surveys help researchers study population-level patterns, though self-report bias remains a limitation. Large samples can reveal common themes, typical recall rates, and differences across age groups or cultures. But because dream reports rely on memory and storytelling, They can never be perfect measurements. Still, databases are valuable because they show patterns that individual anecdotes can't. They help transform dreaming from isolated stories into broader scientific data. Studying dreams helps connect subjective experience to measurable brain states, which is valuable for neuroscience beyond sleep. Dreams provide a natural example of consciousness without external input. That makes them useful for exploring how perception, emotion, and identity can arise internally. By linking dream reports to sleep stages and brain signals, researchers learn how brain activity maps onto lived experience. This line of work supports a deeper understanding of consciousness itself. Dreams are a useful window into how the brain constructs experience from memory, emotion, and expectation. In waking life, the brain uses the outside world as its main input. In dreams, it builds the world internally, using stored material and emotional priorities. This makes dreams a kind of demonstration of the brain's creative assembly process. The dream world shows how easily the mind can generate reality-like scenes from inner resources. Even when dreams are bizarre, they often keep basic cognitive structures like social roles, goals, and emotional reactions. You may be in an impossible place, but you still care about belonging, safety, and purpose. You still feel embarrassment, pride, fear, or affection in recognizable ways. This suggests that the emotional and social core of cognition remains stable across states. Dreams may change the scenery and rules, but they often preserve the deeper patterns of human concern. Lucid dreaming shows that reflective awareness can sometimes emerge during dreaming, creating a rare hybrid of sleep physiology and metacognition. Most dreams run without the thought, "I'm dreaming," but lucidity proves that this can change. In those moments, the dreamer can observe the dream with a clearer mind, even if control varies. This reveals that dreaming is not one fixed mode. Instead, it can shift along a spectrum from fully immersed to partly aware. In lucid dreaming research, not all studies agree on the best signature of lucidity, and sample sizes can be limited. Lucid dreaming is relatively rare and hard to capture on demand, which makes experiments challenging. Measuring it also depends on self-report and verification methods like eye signals. Because the field is still developing, findings can differ from lab to lab. This is normal in emerging research areas and encourages careful, repeated testing. External cues like lights or sounds can sometimes be incorporated into dreams without waking the sleeper, creating a chance for a lucidity cue. For example, a soft beep might become a phone sound in the dream or a distant alarm in a dream city. If the dreamer has learned to recognize that cue, it might trigger awareness. The difficulty is finding cues that are noticeable but not disruptive. This balance is a major challenge in cue-based lucid dreaming methods. However, cues often fail because they either wake the person or are ignored by the dreaming brain. The sleeping brain can filter out sounds and lights, especially in deeper sleep. If the cue is too strong, it breaks the dream and causes awakening. If it is too weak, it doesn't enter the dream at all. This is why cue-based lucid dreaming works for some people some of the time, but not reliably for everyone. Dream control attempts can include changing lighting, summoning objects, or shifting location, often powered by expectation. In dreams, what you expect can strongly influence what happens next. If you believe a door leads to a beach, the dream may provide that beach. If you doubt it, the scene may resist. This makes dream control feel less like force and more like guiding a flexible imagination. Many lucid dreamers report that calm confidence makes control easier than forceful effort. Anxiety can destabilize the dream, increase arousal, and wake the dreamer. Calm attention tends to keep the dream steady. This pattern matches what we see in waking performance too. Calm focus supports better control. In lucid dreaming, the emotional state can directly shape the stability of the dream world. A common lucid technique is spinning or falling backward to stabilize the dream when it begins to fade. The idea is to give the brain a strong internal sensory task that keeps the dream going. Some people also rub their hands together or focus on details in the environment. These techniques work for some dreamers because attention can reinforce the dream's continuity. They are practical strategies based on how attention influences the dream state. Some people experience lucid dreams that may actually be brief awakenings with vivid imagery, showing how fuzzy the boundary can be. Transitions between sleep and wake can include vivid scenes and a sense of awareness. Because the state shifts quickly, it can be hard to classify afterward. This reminds us that sleep is not made of sharp lines. It is made of gradients. Dreaming, lucidity, and wakefulness can blend during these transitions. Sleep hygiene and schedule changes can shift dream experiences, and consistent wake time is often more effective than consistent bedtime for stabilizing circadian rhythms. Waking at the same time anchors the body clock, which supports more predictable sleep stages. When the circadian system is stable, REM distribution across the night becomes more consistent. This can stabilize how dreams are timed and how often they are remembered. It's a quiet, steady influence that shapes sleep from the outside in. Late-night screen use can delay sleep, shorten total sleep time, and reduce access to the longer REM periods that often occur later in the night. Bright light and mental stimulation keep the brain alert and push the body clock later. If you still wake early, you cut off part of the late-night REM window. This can change dream recall and reduce sleep quality. It's a clear example of how modern habits can reshape the basic architecture of sleep. Morning light exposure can anchor circadian rhythms and help the sleep-wake cycle stay stable. Bright morning light signals daytime to the brain's clock systems. Over time, this helps align sleep timing with natural rhythms. When sleep timing is stable, REM periods tend to occur in a more predictable pattern. This can indirectly influence dream recall simply through more consistent sleep structure. Some people report more vivid dreams during periods of increased REM pressure, such as after REM suppression or sleep restriction. REM pressure builds when REM has been reduced or missed. When sleep returns, the brain may produce longer or more intense REM periods. That increase can lead to dreams that feel more vivid and memorable. It's another example of the sleep system balancing itself over time. Dream content can reflect physical activity because strenuous exercise can change sleep depth and awakenings. Exercise often increases sleep pressure and can deepen non-REM sleep, especially earlier in the night. For some people, this produces fewer awakenings and less recall. For others, muscle soreness or temperature changes increase awakenings and recall. The influence is therefore indirect. Exercise changes sleep structure, and sleep structure changes dream memory. People with insomnia may recall more dreams because they spend more time awake in bed and experience more sleep transitions. Those transitions create more opportunities to capture dream fragments. At the same time, insomnia can reduce total restorative sleep, leading to fatigue. So higher dream recall in insomnia is not necessarily a positive sign. It can be a marker of fragmented sleep. It shows again that dream recall and sleep quality are not the same thing. When people wake frequently, they may collect many short dream fragments that feel like multiple dreams in one night. Each awakening preserves a slice of mentation, like saving small clips rather than one full film. Later, those clips can feel like separate dreams. This is a memory effect shaped by awakenings and stage transitions. It demonstrates how the structure of sleep determines what gets carried into morning. Dream content can feature technology and modern life, and historical dream archives suggest dream themes shift as societies change. The human brain uses whatever is common and emotionally relevant as dream material. As technology becomes part of daily life, it naturally enters dreams phones, messages, screens, and devices. Earlier eras reported different common objects and concerns. This shows that dream content is shaped by culture and environment as much as by biology. Some dreams include imagined conversations that feel emotionally real, showing that social simulation can occur without external interaction. The brain can generate the tone of a voice, the tension of conflict, or the warmth of support. Even though the other person is not present, the emotional experience can be genuine. This reflects how strongly social memory and emotion are encoded. Dreams can act as a rehearsal space for social feelings, even if the details are invented. Some dreams contain attempts at problem-solving, but success is inconsistent because executive control and working memory are reduced. You may try to solve a puzzle, plan a route, or fix a device, only for the rules to keep changing. Sometimes you do find a solution, but it may be illogical in waking toes. Dreams can support creativity through unusual associations, yet they are not always good at precise reasoning. That's why dream problem-solving can be surprising but unreliable. Dreaming can involve intense fear without real danger, showing the brain can generate strong emotion internally. Fear can arise from the dream's imagery, but it can also arise from a general emotional state that then finds a story to match. This internal generation is one reason nightmares can feel so powerful. The fear is real in the body, even if the threat is fictional. It demonstrates how emotion does not require external triggers to be intense. Dreams can also produce calm or joy without external reward, showing the same internal generation can be positive. A dream may include comfort, beauty, or connection that leaves a gentle afterglow. This is not guaranteed, but it is common enough to be familiar to many people. The brain can create pleasant emotion from memory and imagination alone. This reflects the full range of emotional experience possible in dreams. Some people have stress dreams with themes like being trapped or unprepared, and these can lessen when stresses resolve. When life becomes more stable, sleep often becomes smoother and dream content can shift. The brain has less urgent material to process, and emotional intensity may decrease. Stress dreams are not always direct copies of daily problems, but they often match the emotional tone. Their reduction can be one quiet sign that the nervous system is calming.